Good morning, Anarchy Land. It is 8:21. Alright, we are going to talk about the next section. It is 1.3 of. Make sure you're getting full view of this here book. There were 4 sections of it. So I just went ahead and wrapped them all together. So, 1.3, first part, they talk about social reset. Now, they start with a quote from Henry Kissinger, where he said that man is just a dumb beast to be used at the government's will. This is how these individuals look at people. They look at you and me, they see a dumb animal to be used at their will. Lovely, lovely people. I will skip them for my Christmas list, that's for sure. They talk about in this section how governments are going to have to change to counter the potential social reset. But let's look at something here. When the Black Plague swept across Europe, Nostradamus was a doctor at the time. Yeah, I'm talking about the same Nostradamus with the predictions and all that stuff. He was a doctor at the time. And he had the people that were healthy go through the city, clean it. That streets, buildings, hospitals were a priority, along with the homes where home health care was being done. These things were to be clean. Now, when the communists took over China, that was one of the first things they did. They had each province go through and clean every street, every building. They had people that would go into homes and make sure they were clean. I mean, thoroughly clean. And if they weren't, even just a little speck of dust, the person would ask you, do you love China? Then clean better. Here's how you clean better. You do this because you love China. That was the guilt. Now look at last year. What was the guilt? If you love your loved ones, you stay home for them. They used guilt to get people to do what they want. And it's been effective over and over and over. Now, Henry Kissinger also made it very clear. One who controls oil can control a nation. But if you control food, you can control the world. Because people need food. We don't need alcohol, cigarettes. We don't really need guns. Because, well, if you can use your head, your brain, to communicate, what do you need a gun for, right? Well, sometimes you can't communicate with a person. You just gotta put a bullet in their ass. There's communication there. But here's the thing. How food is being controlled is this. During the pandemic last year, we were all staying at home. Bill Gates was buying up over 2,000 privately owned farms across America. And by the end of 2020, he owned over 90% of the agriculture in this country. He also owns quite a bit of it across the world, but let's focus on America. Here's the deal. We pay taxes on stuff, right? For food. But as I was going with the alcohol and cigarettes and gas if you don't drive, is if you don't use those things, you don't pay taxes on them. Now in Michigan, you do not pay a tax on unprepared food. That is Like you go into produce, you grab a bag of carrots. You're not going to pay taxes on that because it's not prepared. But if you hit the deli bar or a soup bar, you're going to pay tax on it because it's a convenience tax. Move that over there. Now, the bottom of this is, for this section, is this. They talk about how this is not a socialist country. They keep saying it over and over and over. Well, no, it's not. Because socialist country, Sweden, they got through last year without shutting down by encouraging the citizens to use common sense. Wear a mask where you felt like you need to. Wash your hands. Keep your hands clean. Keep your home clean. Pitch in together and keep your streets clean. That is how they manage to have less cases and fewer deaths than we did. Because we've already talked about all that. Now moving on to the inequalities. The phrase COVID-19 is a great leveler is stupid at best. The only thing it did is it really exposed the monetary inequalities in this country. You got the middle classes hanging on by a thread. Of course, they're all cocky and arrogant because they don't think they're never going to have their quality of life diminished. Think again. There is another stimulus pack that has been passed, and most people have gotten the $1,400. If you are single, you make $75,000 or less a year, you got it. Couples, it was $150,000 or less. Now, there's talk of a fourth package, a reoccurring monthly stimulus. Now, this last package had a $250 tax credit for people. It was going to go from July until December. It's going to be $250 for each person. They're going to call it a monthly stimulus. I'm calling it bullshit. It's a universal basic income introduction. That's what it is. That's it. And the fourth package would have it going until this pandemic is over. Well, they'll keep it going because they'll keep stretching the pandemic out. There'll be new variants, there'll be new viruses. It'll be never ending. That's why I'm calling the monthly stimulus bullshit. It is a basic income. Of course, a couple years ago, I read this article from the World Economic Forum called Welcome to 2030, I Own Nothing and I Couldn't Be Happier. Well, yeah, because you're damn glad you survived 2020, okay? The 2020s there, that decade. Now, they talk about how Michigan is 15% African American. However, there were 40% of the COVID-19 deaths. Again, bullshit. You've got, Michigan is made up of a variety of people. White, black, Asian, Indian, people from India, or have origins in India. And oh yeah, they just flat forgot Native Americans. They didn't even mention Native Americans. We have a huge Blackfoot tribe up around Grand Traverse in Traverse City. Up around the UP, from what I understand, Upper Peninsula is basically a reservation. So, and they just left that out altogether. So, and these people, Native Americans, they were living just fine until our pasty faces showed up on Plymouth Rock. They had it made, they had a beautiful country. We come in, and over time we turn it into a great big shopping mall from coast to coast, north to south, east to west. It's a great big shopping mall. You got big malls, mini malls, quick shops. It's disgusting. Anyway, here's something also to think about. I did not know. Is in England, the nurses have a 0-hour contract, which means they're not guaranteed any hours. You might get 80 one week and 0 the next. That's how they work it. Now, when it was more of a socialist society, they were guaranteed 40 hours at least. But now, forget it. You're temporary, which means your contract guarantees you a short-term employment, and then they can let you go. That rhyme or reason does not renew the contract. This whole situation has made that wealth gap very clear. It's extremely clear. There is a major problem here. Major problem. If we don't fix it, we are going to be in for a world of hurt. Now, I talked about Bill Gates buying up all the farmland. Now, think about it as this. There's 1,000 farms in Michigan. He now would own 999, which means one would still be private. That is not good. Now, you're not going to find Bill Gates' name on the papers. Oh, no. You're going to find Cascadia Incorporated or some other one that's based in Washington. Well, that's him. Based in Seattle, that is him. Alright, now, other countries across the world provided anywhere from like 60%. They guarantee 60% of lost income, and England's covering 80% of it, which means people still have to come up with 20% of the living expenses. Lovely, lovely people, I'm telling you. Thing that should piss people off is that these hedge fund managers that contribute nothing to societies make millions of dollars a year. Nurses, teachers, our military, which contribute far more to society than we could ever calculate fully. They don't even make an eighth. Not even close to an eighth of what these hedge fund managers make. Alright, let's move on to social unrest. Over in every society, when unrest happened, it was unanimous. It was people that had been pretty much left behind. Your farmers, your teachers, your nurses that rose up. Finally got sick of it and stood up. Now, the authors of this book have said racism was the root of the problem. No, it's not. The problem is that we have a system that has been over years been pushing this narrative, and it's quite a brilliant narrative, actually. I have to admit, it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. They divide people along lines of race, color, gender, race, color, same thing, ethnicity. They divide them among wealth, gender, sexual orientation. I mean, they have found every avenue to divide this country of citizens in every way, just splinter them. And these two guys know so much. They say racism was root. No. No. It's the government, it's the media. They are the root of the problem. They're the ones that keep pushing this narrative. We've seen the disappearance of the quality full-time employment, the end of the just-in-time deliveries to grocery stores, and the much coveted toilet paper. We could have a problem again, seeing that ship the Ever Given got stuck in the Suez Canal, not once but twice. We have container ships that bring containers over, and they're just falling off. They're just sliding right off the decks. That never used to happen. There's something else going on there. I don't know what, but there is something more happening there. They've taken people from your normal cookie burger through, you don't want, mad cow disease, to people standing and washing their hands, neurotically washing their hands. They talk about George Floyd. Well, as you know, Derek Kavanaugh is on trial this week. They say he's fucked. It doesn't matter. If he's acquitted, they really are going to be. If he's found guilty of lesser crimes than murder, because of the amount of fentanyl in Lloyd's system, they're going to loot. They're going to destroy the city. Then they wonder why stores are leaving. And they're having to schlep their ass out 5, 10, 20 minutes away from where they live. Well, yeah, retail stores tend to do that. If you destroy the neighborhood they were in, they will pack up and they will leave. I don't blame them. Now, I'm not excusing what Kavanaugh did, not in the least bit. The idea that police now have this prey and predator mindset that has been built up and instituted since the 90s is frightening. It's frightening. Now, it does not help that police are expected to go to be a cop, a social worker, therapist, referee. No, that doesn't help. It doesn't excuse what Kavanaugh did, or other ones like him do. It's just, this is how they're taught. It's them against you, prey or predator, and they're the prey, so they become the predator. Now, let's move on to the return of big government. We need big government like we need infected wisdom tooth. This is just insane. The idea of having a big government again. Nothing good can come from big government. Nothing. There are a section of people who go off grid. They build their own homestead, their home, their barns, everything. They grow all the food, do all the butchering, all the preserving. God bless you. And they educate their children themselves. I didn't have a patience to do that, unfortunately. Their kids are brought into this life with the assistance of a midwife, eliminating the need for a hospital, which there goes a great big hospital bill out the window. Their children are not vaccinated. They're not registered in the system. They are debt free. They are not slaves to the big corporate debt. They are completely debt free. They are free, sovereign citizens. Hopefully, with the grace of God, they will stay that way. And they're going to be healthier anyway. Now, let's talk about this insane free market. Under the theory, Kennanism, a free market means a business is either successful on its own or it's not. If you're not successful, you fold your doors, you liquidate, you're out of here. You go work for someone else. Under a corporate socialism system, the government bails you out. No, actually, the people bail you out. That is what we have. Now, somehow, Finland has managed to merge the best of both systems that they like. But you threaten to take away their universal health care and you will be bounced out of the office so quick you won't even know it hit you. Let's see. So far, our big government has destroyed Afghanistan. It's destroyed Iraq, formerly Babylon. It has destroyed Syria, one of the most ancient Christian cities on earth, Damascus. That is where Jesus went. That is where his disciples went. And up until we went in to Syria and just completely obliterated it, you could live in Syria and be Christian. You could live in Syria, be Hindu, Buddhist, Muslim, Jewish, it didn't matter. There were no laws forcing you to convert to one or the other. That is a democracy. That is freedom. Yet our big city has destroyed everything in that city and further out in the country, and they're stealing oil. They're stealing oil. I'll get into that in the next section. So, is big government the answer? No. It's the problem. Now, the last part is the social contract. Think of this as we pay taxes to a city. Roads is a good example I used on my notes. We pay taxes to a city to keep the roads smooth. Well, Michigan has failed. Our roads here are side roads in the cities are like driving across a cheese grater. Okay? Terrible. They have failed miserably. We pay federal taxes for a military to protect us here at home. They're not here. China or Russia could roll up, invade us, and there's not a damn thing in the world you or I could do about it. Because our military is gone. Our military is doing the bitch work for Big Pharma and guarding the opium fields in Afghanistan, the very drug that has destroyed so many people in this country. Our military is protecting it so that Pfizer can have the opioids. And also they're helping the big oil companies steal left and right. They're stealing oil from Syria. And our military is guarding them. They are being forced to jump at the Israeli government wishes as well. It's a joke. It's a complete joke. Then the education system. Oh dear God in heaven. I can tell you from a parent's perspective, Common Core is a joke. It's horrendous. They teach kids to do a math problem in 100 steps I was taught to do in 3. The next paragraph in this section is just as insane as the last ones. They equate the rise of nationalism with extremism. They're not even close to being the same. Because basically, according to these geniuses, for a government to put well-being of its citizens first is populism and it encourages extremism. No, it don't. Canada and Israel have been doing this for years. Nobody ever says a negative word about it. In Canada, when you have a job position like a manager, they are required to look at Canadian citizens that qualify for that job first. And then, if you don't find anybody for that job that you like, then you can go to people who are here on a visa or on their path to becoming citizens. But no one says anything about it. Not a word. Alright, now another tidbit of information I did not know is that most European countries have laws that guarantee sick leave and protect the workers from dismissal. We don't have that. You miss 2 or 3 days because little Johnny's sick with COVID, you can be fired. You can be fired here for what? The attitude the bourgeoisie corporate class has is that we are like, well, toilet paper. You use it up, you throw it away, you move on. Next row. That's pretty much what they see. They look at employees with health issues as a liability, not an asset. They don't look at this employee that may be in a wheelchair and say, okay, they can't work on the floor, but they can bang out spreadsheets like nobody's business. They don't see that. They just see a person in a chair with limitations. This is the kind of attitude that's got to change. It is going to have serious consequences for future generations. Alright guys, I am at almost a half hour for this video. Holy crap. I look forward to your thoughts, what you think about this section of the book. I hope you will get it, read it. I'm telling you, it's very informative. I will see you later.